Hi, I'm Rob from Salsify, and welcome to another edition of At the Whiteboard. Today, we're going to talk about data. Now, everybody is always looking to up their games in e-commerce and any type of omni-channel operation. Right now, the flywheel is spinning faster than it ever has before. And if you want to move with the market, get ahead of the market, drive margin and growth more than your competitors, then getting good at the data game is an absolutely essential key piece of it. And for us, there's three pillars of PXM. One is centralize, and that is about the data that you're managing. What is in the system that allows you to have optimization opportunities across everywhere that a consumer might touch your product and your brand digitally? We think it is a hungry beast, and it's about to get hungrier. The first decade of the digital shelf, most of what teams were trying to figure out was across all the different product detail pages for their customers, the Walmarts and Amazons and Leclercs and Tesco's and Metros and Woolies and whatnot all over the world. They were trying to figure out, how do we make sure that we're storing the core content that's needed to set up and optimize these items? And the core content is typically things like the image gallery, the title, the feature bullets, and whatnot. But in terms of all of the data that you might want to store about a product, that's only a very small set of it. And a lot of the other data about products are kind of scattered all over the enterprise, if they're stored at the enterprise at all. Some of them don't have a good home today. And that's sad, because the data that doesn't have a good home offers some of the most compelling opportunities to get ahead of your competition, to optimize your experiences, to drive loyalty to your brand. So other pieces of data where oftentimes there's not like a clear owner today include things like manuals. How often have you gone to a product detail page on a retailer and you're looking up a product that you've already previously purchased, and you might be looking for a feature or whatnot. You might go to the brand.com page or whatever, but I know that I personally have been clicking around the internet trying to find detailed information on a couple of pieces of electronics that I purchased and haven't been able to find them. So manuals is a key thing that can help increase consumer loyalty by making them more successful with the product and increase repurchase, for example. Similarly with documentation. There's things like inventory level data that allow you to have better control over when you're spending on retail media, what types of optimizations that might be seasonal that you can make on different product detail pages. There's planogramming data. This is often not even living within a branded manufacturer. Oftentimes you're paying a third party. You're sending a physical product to a photo studio. They're taking photos of the front left, the front right, the top, the bottom. They're weighing the pack, the case pack, and they're digitizing that data and they're putting it into the retailer's planogram system like JDE. But it never comes back into your systems. So that means that you're often doing this over and over and over again for different retailers. And it's just a silly cost to play. Not only that, but this data is data that has often regulatory concerns to it. So if it's containing nutritional information, you kind of want to review that nutritional information. We've done surveys of major grocers in the US where the nutritional information that's listed on the product detail pages is wrong. They have incorrect allergens, incorrect claims, and that's because this data is not living anywhere centrally. So there's tons of basic opportunities here to store more information in the PXM, somewhere centrally that teams can use to collaborate and audit. Another one that I love is reviews. Review data doesn't usually exist anywhere within a company for people to take advantage of the reviews. If there's a review data is public, it's out there on the internet. You can get it from feeds from partners like Bazaar Voice. You can scrape it from Amazon. And that information that's in those reviews is solid gold. 5-star reviews often have text, descriptions, keywords you should be optimizing for that you can build into the rest of the product detail page. There's user-generated content. There's all kinds of stuff that if you had access to it in a centralized location, you can get leverage on the data. Now, one of the things that PXM has an advantage of with dealing with all this information is it was built for volatility. Even if you just look at the core information on a product detail page, the product attributes that support search and navigation, the image gallery, the feature bullets, whatever, the specs, the requirements for the retailers, the schema that define what you're allowed to even control change very rapidly. So Amazon changed their schema for their PDPs 217 times last year, and for the first time that I can remember, they were beat by Walmart, who updated their schema 241 times. There's a tremendous amount of data volatility. a PXM was built in this world for data volatility. So when you talk about bringing in not just the classic images, descriptions, and whatnot for PXM, but also feature tours, reviews, comparisons, videos, all the other things that we just talked about in the last slide, PXM's in a unique spot where it's just used to this chaos. And it's a natural place to be able to aggregate all this information without requiring the IT team to spend months in some type of data modeling exercise. You can just get it in there. I think there's a few different trends where we're going to go here that all of this stuff leads to. The first, I've said this before, is PXM will cover the whole PDP. Traditionally, it's been the image gallery, the title, the feature bullets, the below the fold enhanced content. Amazon calls it A+ from the manufacturer and whatnot. But things like the reviews are going to start coming in. The Q&A are going to start coming in. The manuals are going to start coming in. They're going to play more of a role in product detail page optimization than they have in the past. The second is PXM will natively generate more content of all these different types. We've got partners such as Citation that have created Rough Draft Pro that generates a ton of content for some of our joint customers. We've developed integrations with some of the LLMs to generate content. We've developed integrations with some of the UGC image generation companies to generate more content. More and more information is going to be generated inside the context of managing the digital shelf rather than upstream of managing the digital shelf. Third trend here is PXM will support truly global rollouts. Now, this has been happening today. We've got customers that have a single instance that are supporting 80 different countries, for example. But what you're seeing is a fragmentation of the regulatory environment over the last few years. France, for example, one of the countries we operate, they've got very, very deep regulatory requirements regarding food and beverage and any type of consumable out there. So being able to manage regulatory data in a volatile regulatory environment, region by region, being able to manage all the locales region by region, being able to manage the information about a product that might be the same product but with different packaging, region by region and locale by locale, especially when you've got products that might relaunch seasonally. All of this stuff is going to be important to support for the next decade of the digital shelf. Number 4, PXM enterprise readiness will lead to tech stack consolidation. The history of PXM, and this gets back to our data theme in a second if you bear with me. The history of PXM is that it started working from the consumer backwards. Where a consumer shop changed. And they used to go to the store, and then all of a sudden the question was, what's closer, the store or your iPhone, right? And so they started shopping more online. And if you go back to 2012, it wasn't that much online. I mean, e-commerce teams at branded manufacturers were still small teams. Amazon was not a top 10 retailer, and so on and so forth. But increasingly over time, consumers shop more online. If they're shopping online, that means that brands need to care about search engine optimization and conversion optimization for all the product detail pages. So they needed technology to do that. It was too hard to fill in all the spreadsheets and log into all the retailer portals and upload every single image by hand. That's an impossible task with thousands of products and hundreds of channels. That's where PXM comes in. It helped automate that. Since PXM had all this great product content, it kind of worked its way backwards into the enterprise. If you go 10 years ago, you didn't see a single PXM vendor in the Forrester PIM wave, for example. Now the PXM vendors win the Forrester PIM wave. And that's an evolution of PXM moving back from the consumer and building more enterprise capabilities and moving back into the enterprise. And at this point, it is a true enterprise grade content and data management solution. And what this means is that if you are a branded manufacturer and over the last 15, 20 years, you've spent money and time and intellectual capacity on storing and managing data related to products in various different ways, you might have a chance to get rid of some of those legacy solutions and simplify your tech stack, gain operational efficiency, have fewer things to manage by consolidating on PXM. Now, where the data comes in is, as I said before, PXM is uniquely suited to being able to store all of this wild variety of data. The manuals and the videos and the enhanced content layouts and all the core product data for e-commerce pages and all the logistics data, the case pack quantities and the pallet sizes and pallet weights and all that type of stuff that might go through GDSM. PXM is the only system that can actually store all that stuff. If you're not putting it in PXM, what you're doing is you're putting it in 4 or 5 different systems, as companies have done historically. So this increase of data and the value of data in order to get ahead on the digital shelf means that simplifying the tech stack becomes increasingly important. And I think that all of this comes together with PXM playing a bigger role. And then if you look forward, all the stuff I think is just going to get harder. I mean, the metaverse had a moment a couple years ago, if you all remember, and the big question was, when are 3D experiences going to be shoppable? And major brands were running experiments on them. Like a lot of tech, there's hype, and then it kind of goes silent for a few years, and then it'll come back. And I mean, whatever the future brings, whether it is VR or whether it's something else, we know that consumers like new things. They like new experiences. They like novelty. Companies will continue to experiment to bring them novelty and bring them excitement. And you need a system that can move along with that, with change, move along with new types of data, move along with changing consumer expectations and experiences. And PXM is going to be there.